I remember. It's actually really funny. I was just talking about this with a friend yesterday. My freshman year in college, one of my friends, I was very upset. I don't even remember what I was upset about, but I remember him saying this to me, and it made me even more upset. He goes, Dante, like, you're very upset right now, but just think about it. Like, think about how many people just work to the weekend and then they're happy on the weekend. And when he said that to me, I was like, what the fuck? I was like, I don't want to be upset during 5 days just to have 2 days of happiness. Like,
Exactly.
I don't even want to be happy 5 days for 2 days of not being happy. I should be able to be happy every day, and sadness and like bad days will obviously come, but working towards the happiness should be an everyday thing. Like, it shouldn't just be.
What is up, you guys, and welcome back to another Fire podcast. Again, I just woke up, so if my energy levels are low, it is not my fault. I just woke up, and I just gotta let you all know we have a very, very special guest with us today. He is one of, I can already tell. I've only talked to him for like 5-10 minutes, but I can already tell he's a really, really nice guy, and he has an energy that is unparalleled. Like, it's very similar to Taylor Williams' energy, and
for sure.
But then again, these guys have grown up together, so you expect that. And yeah, Salman, take over.
I mean, if you guys like
say.
all the hype that Taylor brought, I think Dante's here to just build on that and take it further. We're loving the positive energy we have going on here. We're talking about our hopes and dreams, about what makes the world go round, and I think that's all what we're going to speak to with Dante today. So Dante, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself?
Well, that was a great introduction.
Dante?
So, like,
Thanks,
hopefully
buddy.
I live up to it now.
Thanks, buddy. We tried.
So yeah, I mean, I'm Dante. I'm a human being. I try to be a happy one.
Good.
It's important.
A little bit about myself. I like business and I like health.
Hell yeah.
If I was gonna say 3 things about me, it'd probably be wake up every day with a smile, go chase that money, and then get a good night's rest.
Wow, that's...
Dante,
Dude, I feel like you're out of one of those like magazines. You see it like a Whole Foods when you're leaving, and it's like Dante's 3 tips for a healthy, happy, successful life.
Yeah. Dude, Dante, do you know what's fucking crazy to me? Is that people don't even get the first part right. People don't even wake up with a smile. People don't even wake up thinking that, they're grateful to even be alive that day. People just have, but then people just have so much shit going on there in their lives, and their mindsets are always skewed towards the negative. The fact that you're already starting your day with a smile, with a positive outlook on life, with a very go-getter mindset, that is very, very, impressive to even begin with. So, good job on that. And how do you achieve that? Like I'm sure there's a lot of people over here who, might not feel the same way. So how does one shift their mindset towards a more positive one and, get their life together?
Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, like, when you think about it on like an evolutionary standpoint, like, I believe in evolution, and I think like throughout human nature, you almost are like have to be negative. Like, you have to be worrying about like a predator. You have to be worrying about your next meal. You have to be worrying about this, that. And now we're finally living in a society where like you don't have to actually worry about, in most cases, like obviously there's still some places in the world where like people still have to worry about those things, but like where I'm from, like in America, people usually don't have to worry about when's their next meal, like where they're sleeping tonight. But you still have that like in your head, like, I have to worry about something. So now your worry becomes, oh, my job, I have to worry about this. Oh, now I have to go pick up my kids from this. I have to do this, I have to do that. So you still develop this almost like negativity over like a scarcity mindset, but at the same time, you actually don't have to be. But you're never, like, I feel like we're not taught, and that's the biggest problem, is we're not taught to be happy.
It should be taught in school. It should be taught in school. We're taught by teachers who are just as sad and who are just as dead, who are just as Debbie Downer. Like, dude, some of the teachers that I've had, they're the most negative fucking human beings I've ever met in my entire life. And I'm just wondering, how are you allowed to teach 30 fucking kids every single day, come in, teach them something, and then just, just leave like that?
But also, I'd say
I feel like you have to like be taught happiness. Like, you have to like act, like when you think, like, in my head, when I think about it, like, we're just a bunch of like chemicals, and like if you're constantly being fed negativity, like you're eating shit all the time, like You're worried about this. You're worried about that. You're not
You're
taking care of
watching
your
the
body.
news. You're fucking
You're watching the
eating shit
news.
food. You're slow. You're sleeping a lot. I mean, like, dude,
Yeah, sleeping
what
a
else
few
should we
nights.
expect?
Yeah, it's like if you're just chemicals, then obviously you're gonna have a negative outlook on stuff. But you start taking care of those things. Now, I'm not saying that will make you happy. I'm just saying it's easier to
That's
now
the
focus
right
on
step.
positives.
Exactly.
Well,
That's
but I will
the
say
right step
it's
in the
different
direction.
for everyone, right? Like, you can't like teach it easily because being happy is something that comes differently to different people, and that's why it's so complicated. And why after like a billion years of humans being alive, people have not figured it out. Like, people
But
like
then,
you, like us, we figured out stuff that works for us, but there's no universal way to go about it.
but then again, Salman,
Absolutely.
we're not taught the tactics or the techniques, or even we're not even giving priority to being happy in our day-to-day lives.
That's
How many
very
times in
true.
a month do you wake up and think that I'm gonna be happy today, or I'm gonna focus on my happiness today? Realistically, be honest here. How many times do we
Like,
actually
I'd
wake
say,
up and
like every
just focus on
Saturday.
our happiness? Like every
It's
Saturday,
like
that's dude going
like
on.
straight up. It's like today's a Saturday. I'm gonna just relax and be happy.
Dude, that's a separate case. I'm talking about, like, if you're living for the weekends, that's your shit is messed up in my opinion.
That
Like,
scares me.
Oh,
yeah,
I
if you're
remember. It's actually really funny. I was just talking about this with a friend yesterday. My freshman year in college, one of my friend, I was very upset. I don't even remember what I
yeah,
was upset about, but I remember him saying this to me, and it made me even more upset. Is he goes,
yeah,
Dante, like you're very upset right now, but just think about it. Like, think about how many people just work to the weekend and then they're happy on the weekend. And when he said that to me, I was like, what the fuck? I was like, I
imagine
don't want
living
to
for
be
the weekend.
upset during 5 days just to have 2 days of happiness. Like, I don't
Exactly.
even want to be happy 5 days for 2 days of not being happy. I should be able to be happy every day. And
Yeah.
sadness and like bad days will obviously come, but working towards the happiness should be an everyday thing. Like, it shouldn't just be this.
Preach, preach. Not
yeah.
everybody fucking thinks that. Not everybody thinks that way, Dante. Not everybody does, and it fucking blows my mind that people don't really, like, even approach the way this topic the way we're approaching it. People don't even want to focus on it. People would rather
Yeah.
put it on the back burner. People would rather, like, spend their weeks working and then think about, like, spending their weekends getting blackout drunk or doing
Yeah.
other shit that is not really constructive at the
Yeah,
end of the day.
and to your point earlier, everyone does have a different routine for happiness. Like, what works
Like,
for me and works for you is not going to work for
yeah.
everybody. I think, but the building blocks to find happiness are very similar and the same, and we're not taught that. You have to go find this information now, and it's beautiful that we're living in a time with like the most abundant amount of information that we've ever had in human history, but
We're
at the same
drowning, bro.
time,
We're drowning in
we're
information.
in the same amount of
Oh
information that we
yeah.
have. There's the same amount of misinformation, and now people are being taught one thing that actually might be more harmful than beneficial, but like people can take advantage of one another through misinformation, and that's really dangerous. And to someone that might be more ignorant to like what they're looking for, they might actually be taken advantage of, and that's really sad and disappointing.
For sure.
But at least we're
You
in a
know,
time now where you can find it if you know what you're looking for.
one thing that like I've
Exactly.
kind of started doing on that note is I've just like straight up stopped looking at the news. Something
Me
important
too.
happens, I will find out eventually.
Right?
Like, but nothing else matters enough that I like fret about it all day. Like, everything on your news sites
That's a
are
good step.
one out of
That
control
that's a
for the
very good
most
step.
part,
It's
and
funny
two,
because I'm sorry, keep going.
oh no, you're good. I was just gonna say like I'm gonna worry about my own life and being happy instead of like the sensationalized news.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because I'll talk to people and I'll be talking about current like topics and stuff like that. And a lot of people that know me know I don't watch the news, and they're like, "How do you know this if you don't watch news?" I'm like, "You eventually just hear about it,
You
and then
find out.
you come out with your own like 2 cents of what you think about it. Like, if I'm
Exactly.
not being like every type of news source right now is biased in one way or another, but if I just am receiving the information and I think about it on my own, like I don't need to listen to the news to know that type of
Exactly.
stuff. It will come to me eventually.
Exactly. Especially in today's day and age when everybody is connected, so you'll eventually hear about it. We're not living like 20 years. We're not living 20 years in the past where you don't have the internet, where you don't have any other news outlets. You'll eventually hear about it, guys. You
Yeah.
eventually will. Dante, I'm curious. Do you know who Charlie Rocket is?
No, I don't believe so.
I don't think I do either.
So Charlie Rocket, I just came across this guy a week ago. He is one of the most impressive personalities I've ever seen in my entire fucking life, because this guy was able to. He was so his story is that he was 300. He was over 300 pounds. However, he was in the music industry and he was a multimillionaire, $15 million, $20 million net worth. He was handling all these big rappers and all that, and he left that life all just to achieve happiness. He left the money, he went to lose weight, and then he ran an Ironman a year later, going from 300
Wow.
pounds down to 150, 200 within a year, and then just running an Ironman and then actually completing it, and then actually leaving the music life, leaving the money, leaving everything, all just for mental peace and happiness. And this guy this guy made it on the cover of Nike. He's been on Nike ads. He's been on the cover of Men's Health. All these different publications, all because he chose to prioritize one thing over another, and that is happiness, and that is the most important thing that he could have done.
His name is Charlie Rocket.
Charlie Rocket.
I'm
And
gonna have to look him up.
yeah, dude, do look him up. And he has a few. He has a very different outlook on life. He believes all your goals in life, they're already achieved. It's just that time hasn't caught up yet. So when you reframe your mind like that, it's easy, dude. I'll be a millionaire soon. Time just hasn't caught up yet. You start to fucking think like that, and then when you start to think like that, your subcommunication, your body language changes. When your body language changes, your actions change, and then your actions reframe towards that actual goal, and then you actually end up achieving that down the line.
Yeah.
And even if you don't end up achieving that very goal, you'll achieve something very close to it, or something completely different.
Yeah, absolutely. You won't end up in a bad place as long as you're
Exactly.
happy along the journey and you know what goals you do have. If you're going towards goals, you won't end up in a bad place. Even if it might not be the goal originally planned for, you'll end up on having a good journey as long as you wake up every day and you're trying your best.
Exactly, Brady.
For sure.
And
Also,
that was
Dante.
just like impressive. Yeah, continue. Simon.
So wait, do you happen to watch The Office, perchance?
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah,
don't watch
so-
it regularly, but I watched it a few years ago.
Yeah,
and I love it.
everyone's seen it. So this whole conversation, I love the mindset of Charlie Rocket, but what it really got me thinking about in the back of my head was there's the episode of The Office called Scott's Tots. So Michael is a paper. He's like an assistant man. He's like a manager at a paper company. All right, he has a very average job, very little mobility, but he believes he's gonna make it big in life. Like he just knows he's gonna be a millionaire, right?
Yeah,
So there's an episode where a bunch of kids from a high school who've all graduated come up to him, and they're like, "Thank you so much, Michael, for supporting us." And everyone at the office is like, "Wait, what's going on?" And apparently, 10 years ago, Michael thought that he'd be a retired multimillionaire in 10 years. He was so confident about it that he went to a school, and he told
Yeah.
a bunch of like inner city poor kids that, "Hey, if you guys make it to the end of college, with the end of high school without dropping out or dying, I will pay college tuition for all of you guys." And it was the most cringy episode. It's probably the worst
Yeah.
episode of the show because there's like all these hopeful kids who have like
my
dedicated their whole
God.
lives to bettering themselves in exchange for, the fact
College.
that they've been
A free
promised
ride to
that they'll
college.
be able to go to college. And Michael Scott's like, "Guys, I don't have like any money. I can't do anything."
Yeah.
Oh, that was such a great episode. I mean, great in a way of like writing it, but watching it, I was like, oh my god, this is.
I felt
this
terrible
is
too.
terrible.
It was
This is hilarious. Dude, Salman, one thing I've noticed, how the fuck do you remember the name of that episode, bro?
Dude, okay, I actually had a discussion about this episode like 10 hours ago, so it was
It's
like
the
fresh in my
It's the
mind.
only Office episode name that I recognize. Like for almost any show too. Like most shows, I won't remember the name of episodes, but you say Scott's Tots.
Yeah,
That
it's-
episode
it's
was
very
so
prominent.
cringe. It's like I could never erase that from my mind.
Exactly.
There's no getting away from it.
Yeah. Salman, your turn, bro.
Do you guys know who Naval Ravikant is?
Nah.
No, I don't think I do.
To go off your point from Charlie Rocket, he's the co-founder of Angel Co. Do you know what Angel Co is?
Nah, bro. You gotta explain
Angel
this
Co-
shit to us. You gotta explain
Angel
this
Co is like is a website for people that want to work for startups or startups to like post listings
Oh, yeah,
and look
Angel's
for
List.
investors.
Or
Yeah.
AngelList. Yeah, I've been on that
Oh,
site a couple of times.
AngelList.co. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
He's the co-founder of that, and he's a brilliant dude. He's one of my biggest inspirations in life. And something fun, like so like interesting that he says that like has stood out to me so much is like he grew up in the Queens or Bronx, from an immigrant family, and he just studied in the library like all day after school. Like his mom would pick him up because she worked like 2-3 jobs, so she'd come pick him up after school. So he was always very determined to create a successful life for himself ever since he was really young. And he created a very successful life for himself, but he wasn't happy, and he knew he wasn't happy. And one of the things that he like preaches is like creating wealth for yourself will solve your money problems, but it won't solve your happiness problems. With that being said, being like poor or living in poverty can definitely make you upset, but at the same time, being rich cannot necessarily make you happy.
And
So
that
that just, I don't know,
is
talking about Charlie
very
Rocket made me think
solid.
about that. And
Yeah.
so now after his quest of like starting all these tech companies, and he's a multi-billionaire, his new quest in life is like meditation and like taking care of himself and like just being a happy dude.
Yeah, I feel like that is a common theme. A lot of these people end up achieving their monetary goals very early on in life, and then they're like, "Fuck, I'm mentally fucked up, and I don't feel sane. I don't feel happy." They leave everything. They're like, "Fuck this shit. I'm off to fucking Nepal or some shit like that. I'm going off to meditate and shit in the mountains." And yeah, I just think that's so cool, man. Like to be able to leave everything that you know. Like, I can't leave my fucking city, guys. Straight up, if I was to leave my fucking city for forever, that shit scares me. Imagine leaving
Dude, it's
everything
scary.
you know. Your money.
I've done it.
your
I've done it
life.
twice so far. Not my money,
You're-
but like I've shifted cities twice, and it's crazy every time. It's like, what the hell am
Yeah.
I gonna do next week?
Exactly. But
Do
yeah,
you guys meditate?
nah.
Sometimes
Not
actually.
yet.
It's been a
Not
long
yet.
time though. I used to.
Highly recommend. I meditate after my run every day, and it makes the day so much easier to get through. Like whenever
I'm
I go into
sure.
work, I'm the most calm person every time, no matter what the problem's coming up. I'm the coolest cucumber in the room every time.
Right. Shit.
The
Really.
way I look at it is like you create two problems for yourself if like you're stressed out about like work issues a lot, because
Yeah.
not only do you have the problem of whatever the issue is at hand, but now you have to deal with the stress on top of that. So if I can just forget about the stress and like be calm, now I just have to like focus on the problem at hand.
Focus on the problem, and then that's when you're most focused, and that's when you can get rid of the problem ASAP.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, what meditation techniques do you recommend? Like, because I don't know jack shit about meditation. I don't know anything about that world. Since you do it every day, let us know.
Yeah, my favorite, so I've always tried to figure out what worked best for me. And at first it was just like sitting down, breathing in through my nose and trying not to think about anything. But then I realized I can't stop thinking about stuff. Like, I feel like saying like, sit down and stop thinking is like, okay, how? Like, you're not teaching me
exactly.
how to do that.
Yeah.
So then I started listening to some monks, and they said to like just count your breaths, and eventually what will happen is your mind will start thinking about other things, but just every time you catch yourself thinking about something else, just go back to counting your breaths and just keep doing that over and over and over again. And that was working for me, and I liked that a lot. And then when I really started to dive deep into meditation is I found this guy named Wim Hof. That WIM space
Iceman Hof?
space Iceman
Iceman
Hof,
Hof.
baby. He's the man. So I kind of
That
combined.
guy's insane. His
yeah,
fucking philosophies are insane, and the things that he's been able to do. Salman, do you know Iceman Hof?
I do not know this man.
Quickly, Dante, explain to him who exactly fucking Iceman Hof is. Let's go.
Iceman Hof is a monster.
He
has
monster?
he's hiked Mount Everest in shorts and boots and
No
nothing
shirt.
else. No shirt, nothing. He's ran a half marathon in like negative 40 degrees with no shoes on.
Oh my god. Okay,
no
I've
shirt.
definitely heard of this man. I know exactly
Yeah.
what you're talking about now.
He's crazy. I mean, not crazy in a good way.
Yeah.
He and it was really funny too. Actually, my favorite one about him is scientists injected him with E. coli, and he meditated his body to neutralize the E. coli infection. And that I was just like, I don't know how you do that. That's crazy. But like,
That is
yeah,
How do
he
you
is
do
just so
that?
mentally powerful.
How do you do that? How are you so mentally strong?
I wish I could tell you. Supposedly, he's like, when he talks about it, he says he's pulling his body's third level of defense, which is like taking bone marrow, the stuff from your bone marrow, to neutralize like infections and inflammation. Because he believes a lot of like the issues that we have in mental health is actually an inflammation issue. And when you think about it too, like a lot of the terrible foods a lot of people eat cause a lot of inflammation, and that makes sense into this.
Yeah.
Eat bad food, you don't feel good about
Guys,
yourself.
next episode on podcast, Iceman Hoff. You heard it here first. Episode number. We can't guarantee an episode number, but he'll be here soon. Iceman Hoff.
Eventually.
We're gunning you
You know, a
down.
couple hundred episodes from now, we'll get there.
You know, it's easy. Time hasn't caught up yet. We'll get Iceman Hoff soon.
Exactly.
All right.
It's in the future. It's there.
Yeah,
You just
yeah.
have to
It's
hit that
already
point
up.
in the timeline.
It's already happening.
What I want to know now is, and this is probably going to be one of the last things we talk about, is that, you know, you're a man of a lot of passion, Dante. And
Thank
what I
you.
want to know is that I know you're still in college and you're getting your master's, your MBA, and your supply chain operations degree, but I know you also work with Taylor as a business partner. So how do you put your passion together with your business and your work life?
Yeah, it's not easy.
It's not easy.
Yeah. It's constant trying to figure out the balance, knowing that like the true balance is just something I make up in my head, and it's really just trying my best to like keep everything like level. I actually started VPeril with Guhan. We mentioned him earlier.
Yeah.
Guhan came to me with the idea. Guhan's a producer, and he's also a photographer, and he also studies at college with me. That's how I met him. And 2 summers ago, he came to me. He's like, I know you like fashion. I know you're all about like positivity and like health and well-being and stuff like that. Why don't we just create something? Like, let's see what we can do. Let's try and do a clothing company. He goes, you know clothing. I like your values of life. I know like photography and like design, and let's just see what we can make. So for VPeril, basically what we do is, well, first off, we realized that in the VPeril is a streetwear company, and we noticed in like the streetwear market that there's a lot of clothes that are low quality but very high cost just for like the name. So our first thing that we wanted to do was like, okay, we wanted to make high quality clothes in the streetwear while keeping it like a decent price. Like we wanted to keep it on like not like a Walmart version, because we want people to still feel like, okay, they buy our shirt, that's something special. But we didn't want it to be astronomically where like you had to have tons of money to buy our stuff. It was more of a, okay, this is high quality for like a pretty decent price. And then our next big thing was, all right, how are we gonna make art like within this? Because a lot of like clothing companies, it's like they release really cool designs, and like that's awesome. Like I love wearing a cool t-shirt. Like I think this is cool shit. Like just something like that. Like I think it's cool, I'll wear it. But we want to see like, why don't people like when they come out with a collection like have like a central theme to it, like an album does. Like if you like, one of my favorite artists is Kendrick Lamar, and like every time he releases an album, like the album has like a story behind it. So that's what we wanted to do with our clothing company. So like our first collection was on distractions. So like we took pictures of like representations of what we thought distracted people, like TV screens, like lust, paraphernalia, like alcohol, like, and we took pictures of this, and then like we just went over it with editing tools, and we got it printed up, and we were like, cool. Now how do we market it?
Nice.
Put on a
So
fucking shirt.
yeah, exactly. And then so like Taylor's, he's a social media monster. So I was like, dude, like, why don't you just come on board? Like, I know you like fashion too. I know you know how to like tackle marketing really well. Like, you're my boy. Like, come on board. So then we grabbed Taylor, and yeah, so that was our first collection. It went really well. We also only do about 20. Thank you. We only do 25 pieces per design, and then we'll never make them again. So it becomes one of those things. Kind of, yeah. So it's like, oh, I have like this from like this collection, and make it like exclusive.
Amazing.
So
Wait,
I-
and how much does like one shirt sell for then?
So for our first collection, our short sleeves sold for 40 and our long sleeves sold for 60. But
That's
we're actually
Solid.
dropping it for our next collection to 35 and 55.
All right, that's
Nice.
fine.
And a little insight for your viewers, our next collection is going to be on emotions, and we're actually going to write a thesis with it as well.
Amazing.
So I'll be sending you guys those designs when they're out.
Oh yeah,
Perfect.
for sure.
Perfect.
Awesome.
And if you guys Dante, if you need help with design, I'm your fucking guy. If you need
Oh yeah?
help,
Oh yeah, this
Yeah.
guy runs a whole
I'm a-
design
company,
shebang.
everything. Yeah.
Oh no way! I'll definitely be
Yeah.
hitting you up
Yeah.
then.
Hell yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. We share
That's
the
that
same
connection
values.
right there, baby.
Yeah, yeah.
There you go.
We share the same values, and I appreciate that. And on that note, guys, we're done. Peace. Adios. Goodbye. Thank you so much.
See y'all.